Friends, how are you doing? It is days of our lives out there. Drama in the stock market. If you're not a part of the stock market right now, you're missing out on one of the best TV shows in the world right now. I mean, everyone's PO'd at T-Money here. I mean, the whole world is like, what the... literally... So, obviously, this isn't a video talking bad about Trump. Obviously, this is just a situation we're all going through, and everyone's handling this different. There's a place for everyone in this market right now. For long-term traders, short traders, day traders, midterm traders, whatever kind of betting for, against the market, puts, options, all that kind of stuff. There's something for everyone right now, and you're figuring out how to do it day by day, and it's probably going to continue like that too. So, this is obviously a buyer's market, and there's problems in the market right now. That there's a big problem that's making smaller problems in the market, to where it's leaving also opportunities in the market to where they may not be there forever. We don't have a time frame, but they may not be there forever. So the big thing that's going on right now, it's these two guys. These two guys are not getting along right now. So a little bit of what happened today from market opening to market closing here. Obviously, the market closed going down, and then after hours here, the market's starting to shoot up a little bit more. We're going back into the 5,000 point range here. With that, so what happened today essentially is that Trump gave an interview, and the market actually opened up okay. We were actually doing okay. There were some stocks today that actually did very well if you were short trading them. Like, I know people that made quite a bit of money today in the market, and this has been the last 48 hours. The market been very volatile. So day traders, short traders doing very well right now. The market opened and it was like, okay, things are going okay here. Trump literally gave an interview, and by minute, there was one person that asked a question. Like, she said, hey, what about those tariffs? Do you think we can halt those for 90 days? Trump said, no. Matter of fact, we're actually going to double down on a few of them, and some people are really going to have to pay. Then he went to the whole thing about China. China came out here and said, hey, we are pushing back. You're actually going to pay for this. Trump went, no, you're going to pay up, and actually you have until tomorrow, or I'm going to charge another 50% on what you already have. And J. Ping here said, nope. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The market could, what Jim Cramer was predicting for Monday, could be tomorrow. If these two can get along and come to a deal, obviously United States and China, two big industries, two big countries, that make the world go around here, we can see both markets kind of stabilize probably, okay? It's not just the North American market that's in trouble here. It's everyone's market has been in decline. I mean, no one has been safe from one from one guy, Trumpy Wumpy here, our Daddy King here, making all these calls. Listen, I am not here to talk politics or talk economics. I am a moron. I am just a fellow investor like the rest of you. I'm sure many of you are extremely smarter than I am. God bless you. You guys talk to me in the comments. I appreciate it. But what I do have is a mouth and an obsession with the market, and a fierce, combative attitude to constantly go against the market and make money in the market. So that's what we're talking about. Friends, listen, this is a situation where, I've had people contact me and be like, what should I be focusing on the market? I get a text every day, literally every time the market dips here. Somebody is calling me, texting me, and not that I'm some kind of guru in this. I'm just someone who tries to follow breadcrumbs and sees patterns in the market here. I think like a lot, if you're in the market for any amount of time, you will start to see the situation. This isn't our first dip in the market. This isn't our first moment of chaos. Obviously, this is a different situation of chaos that even our fathers haven't dealt with. So it puts this moment right here in time where we find ourselves in the stock market. And what I've been telling everybody is that while a lot of our hardcore stocks companies that we know will do very well into the future, like Apple here, listen, Apple's not going anywhere. Just because Apple stock has sold off, it doesn't mean Apple's a terrible company now. It doesn't mean that Apple is going to do terrible into the future. Now, obviously, there's a lot of talks about, one thing the Trump administration has been talking about as of lately is that, they want Apple to start making their phones here. That's a big thing. And if that happened, obviously, that would be great. That would be great. They started making their products here. And Apple has already invested millions, billions of dollars into what they want to do here. So they are moving along with the Trump administration. Now, if they're going to go a step further and say, hey, okay, we'll make phones here, that's something that we've never really seen here. That would be huge. And that would change a lot of things, economics, Apple, everything. So long term, really think about where you want to be with Apple. I say that because Apple's not going anywhere. Apple's a staple company of the world, of the universe. Even if we start colonizing Mars, guess what? Guess who's going to be there? Apple's going to be there. People are going to have Apple there. So that's something to really think about there. And, obviously when you buy Apple, you get a dividend with that, yearly dividend of $1. It's not a lot, but still, it's Apple's guaranteed to follow the process of every 5 to 8 years, it's going to have a stock split, and then it's going to start all over at $100 and it's going to start moving up again. It's just the process of what Apple does at this point. And the last quarterly that Apple had, it was actually the biggest they had ever had. It was a huge quarterly. I mean, it shocked everyone. Now, I don't know if they're going to keep doing that, but there is, it's a good sign of things to come here. So, Apple being one of those stocks, if make good positions right now. Even if this market keeps going down, at least you can be in a mental place to where hey, I'm buying into the market crash here. I don't know when it's going to stop. It could get worse. Absolutely. Tomorrow could be devastating. I mean, tomorrow could be like, holy freaking smokes. If we do not see, the situation with China and us clean up here. But if I'm spending my hard-earned money right now that I've worked for, I want to know that it's going to go into stocks that are going to, companies that are going to be here 50, 100 years from now. Okay. There's plenty of those. The video I made yesterday, that's essentially what I talked about. ETFs, mutual funds, companies, stocks that are going to be here for a long time. Now, talking about Palantir, talking about Big Bear, here's two different situations right now. Yeah, I'm talking about Palantir because, Palantir, a lot of us still are very much in the moment of, that Palantir here in, 25, less than 28 days is going to produce its biggest quarterly that it's ever seen still, because, this Q1, this is all past stuff. This is stuff that's been going on for the last 3-4 months here, and we know there was a lot of deals, a lot of good things coming from there. Q2, we'll see. There might be some rough Q2s here later in the year with all this going on now. But Palantir here, undoubtedly could be about to release a huge quarterly. And I know there's people that, Palantir fell into the $60 range today. That's huge. I started adding more Palantir. I'm going to be honest with you. I have different levels of Palantir, but when I saw it go down to 60 days, I was like, okay, we're going to add a little more Palantir here to that, that high position that I have, because, I'm holding Palantir here for, much later long-term investment here to see what they can really do. Listen, as long as Palantir is rubbing shoulders with the Trump administration, whether that makes you mad or happy, that is pretty much money in the bank here, because Palantir has been getting these government contracts for so long now, they'll probably continue, and if not get bigger on what they have and continued. So Palantir is something that I would recommend for anybody, and I do. We've already seen such massive growth with Palantir, and we know people are willing to pay for Palantir well over $100. There's no reason why they're not going to buy it at 70, 80, 90, what could be coming here if we clean up this market here. And then you have Big Bear. Before Trump gave that interview today, literally before Trump spoke on the tariffs and said what he said, Big Bear was at $3 and almost 10 cents. Oh no, it actually went past that. It went to $3 and almost 16 cents. And I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. So listen, this is why I say investors are wanting to push. Investors are ready to go. If Trump didn't give that interview today and said what he said, and then followed it up with the whole thing with China, the market probably would have had an okay day. I mean, we would have, people would have made a lot more money. I mean, it wasn't like we got a lot back, but it was like, okay, we can work with this if you're buying in and out of the market right now. And then, Trump said what he said, and Big Bear fell to, $2 and high 50 cent here range. So there's so much volatility in the market right now, but it leaves places for people to enter, for people to sell, to, buy back in later on. And this is probably going to be the story of our lives here for a pretty good moment here with this market. And then you have SoFi. Look, SoFi completely got decimated today. SoFi is trying to stay in $9 range. Will it? Tomorrow might be the day where we see, for the first time in a long time, SoFi go back down to $7-8. This is the number one problem when you invest in bank stocks, and I've sound like a broken record with this, but every time I have went through a market crash, this is the situation with bank stocks. Bank stocks, economic issues, apparently tariff issues, because this is something new we're all going through here. But just market collapses in general. Banks will always take the first and hardest hit. Absolutely. Because why? Because they're banks, because they depend on the economy, they depend on the market, they depend on everything. So SoFi here being, still very new and not having as a strong relationship and trust with investors, long-term investors, people are selling it. They're selling it 100%. This is just what's going on. But, if you're in SoFi for the long run, you're loving this because you're probably buying a lot more. You're probably adding a lot more. I know I am. SoFi is going to report its quarterlies on May 5th, and we expect those earnings to be amazing. They should be knockout good. They should be. I'm actually more hopeful for these SoFi Q1s coming out than I am Palantir. I got to be completely honest with you, because of the huge deals that we've seen just in the past 5 months with SoFi here, with these loan deals, credit card deals, all this new application that is brought to the table since their last quarterly. I think a lot of us are expecting a really, really good quarterly here with SoFi. Now, does that mean SoFi is going to go up to $20? No, probably. If the market is where the market is right now, the market's going to have to get stable. The market's going to have to get stable for things to really move back up here. Now, what would that mean? It'd be great for SoFi later in the year if the market can straighten out here. So friends, if you are new to investing, if you're like, I don't even know where to go right now, I don't know what to buy, or maybe I want to start a new position in something, listen, you can literally just put your finger on a lot of things in the market right now. And if you buy in now, more than likely, and when we see the market just kind of get to a place of, okay, I think we're good, you'll make your money back. I mean, you can buy American Airlines, Carnival Cruise Line at this point, and you'll probably make your money back here sooner than you think, if we can get this market to come back. That's how torn apart the market has been at this point. There's amazing opportunities out there. There's PayPal, there's Robinhood, there's Nvidia, there's Supermicro, there's Oracle stock, almost $100. There's Tesla. I think Tesla's going to go down under $200, and I'm counting on it. But, there's so many amazing stocks here. There's ETFs, oh my God, there's so many things out here. And obviously a lot of people don't have the amount of capital they need to get into all this. I totally get it. But, this is a situation of, we're all going through this together. And the interesting part that's going on right now, there's going to be a moment a year from now, 2 years from now, when we come out of this and we're going to go, I bought that in April, I bought that in March, I bought that in May. I'm so glad I did, because now look at my position where I'm at. Okay. That's the really interesting thing right now going on, is that somewhere down the line, and this is hard for people to see, I get it, man, but every market crash I've ever went through, there's deals, things that I solidified positions in where I'm like, thank God I did that. Thank God I did that. Okay. One thing that I've really been focusing on, I've talked about this a little bit, but one thing that I've really focused on the past year with my portfolio, one of them in general, is ETFs. I've really tried to get into ETFs, dividends, ETFs, high yield dividends, to really build up something here in the next decade for, my future. So that's something that I would recommend that people look at right now. And I just talked about that yesterday. There are a lot of amazing high yield dividend stocks out there, ETFs, mutual funds, REIT stocks, things like that. For all kinds of price ranges where you can be. You can find $20 ones, you can find $30 ones, you can find $40, $50, $60, $70, all the way up to $500. There's still some out there. These are things that I would look at right now, and they'll probably be tore apart for a while. It's going to take a lot of money for this market to come back. There has been trillions of dollars ripped out of this market. It's not going to come back in a night. It's not going to come back in a week, a month. It's going to take a moment. It is going to take a lot of trust with investors. Investors want to see this mess cleaned up with tariffs. They want to see what's going to happen with inflation later in the year. We're getting a rate cut. We just don't know when at this point. Are we going to have a nice organic rate cut, or are we going to have an emergency rate cut? An organic one would be better than an emergency one. Emergency one would mean it's going to be good at first, and then it's going to mean even bigger crash with the market. Okay, this is stuff we went through with the Cove. So, but this is a different beast we're up against right now with these tariffs. So, listen, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna be optimistic and go. I'm shooting that the market will have greener grass on the other side of it. When, I don't know, but I obviously want these tariffs to work, because if they don't work, it will be an issue for everyone to deal with. So, man, what drama we are seeing in the market, in our economics, political. I mean, I'm just such a fan of drama in the market, and I'm just enjoying watching what's going on. Friends, listen, I really do wish everyone the best of luck. I'll probably nail down more stocks, particularly tomorrow, talk about and go off on what's going to happen with them. Tomorrow could be bad. It could be bad, or it could be really good. It's either going to be one, or it's not going to be anything in the middle, because tomorrow is a deadline. Trump has already said tomorrow is a deadline, and we're going to see what happens with that 100%. Friends, take care of yourself. I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.